Hello everybody, it's me ReaperSteve, and I'm joined by Jammer once again, as always. Jammer's trying to keep me in the right frame of mind of not stopping the stream now because the game hasn't begun. But yes, we are back with Team Yar this time, of course. Day for yesterday we covered Team Tan and Team Yar, but today we've just got one game on only, and that's Yar versus KoxTeam.
Yes, that is the Polish side they're up against, and I've done a little bit of research, and they don't seem to have the best start. You know, neither of these teams do, to be fair. KoxTeam are 2-2 so far, but they did recently lose their last game on Nuke, 16-2. So if there was ever a chance for ER to pick up their first win, I feel like this is their opportunity, you know? Yeah,
this is their chance to grab it by the horns, so to speak, and take it home. Yeah, Nuke's one of those sort of maps where we've seen a lot of the EsportsWales players either play, disastrously bad in it or like extremely well. It depends on how awake they are and how prepped they are prior to the match kicking off. Obviously we're waiting on one player left now. Yeah, just the one player left, and then we should be hopefully kicking it to a live screen for you guys to watch. If you 16-0, 20 gifted right now. Someone want to copy that down there, yeah, just in case. You never know. We've seen 60-0s already.
A message over to Nova, so he starts calling like some silver scraps.
Nova, you need to do the thing, okay? 16-0. We've seen one this week so far, I think. Was it 16-0? Yeah. It was 16-0, wasn't it? For the game. Yeah, it was, yeah. But then again, I mean, we kind of like talked a little bit after the game about the team they went up against, and kind of feel like it wasn't really the best suit, is it, in fairness? Like, they went up against a team that are they were like 16-3 in teams for the last like 4 games out of ESEA, so I feel like those ones are always going to happen like that, unfortunately. But nonetheless, it was a good learning experience for you and I, because we jumped into the Discord afterwards and had a chat with a couple of the players and management from EsportsWales, and we were like, first things first, we need a pronunciation list, how to pronounce all the team players' names, and secondly, what the hell was going on in that map? And then we had like a proper chinwag about it and a catch up, and everything was all good. But Nuke, though, I mean, Nuke brings its own sort of pros and cons, benefits and hindrances. If you're a coach going into this one and you're winning knife, are you going to be going straight CT side or T side?
Yeah, so from the research I've been able to do, this KoxTeam doesn't have the best T side. So absolutely, teams mainly, prefer the CT side. And that's especially the case for this match, because in their 16-2 loss, they did start on the T side and they did only win 2 rounds. And that meant that, off the pistol loss in the second half, they just couldn't get any rounds on the board at all after that. Yeah. But yeah, absolutely go for CT side here and see if you can punish this KoxTeam just like they did in the last game.
Yeah, exactly. Try and get as many rounds on the board as you possibly can. First half, swing into a T side where you've got a bit of room to manoeuvre, a bit of room to breathe more than anything. I think it's the best way to put it on this map. It is something I say time and time again. That you need to have that breathing room. If you are going to take CT side first, you need to really be dominant on CT, so that when you do switch to that T side on Nuke, you've got a bit of time to flex against your A push. You've got a bit of time to flex against the CT side defensive plays. But I think we've got all players in. We're just waiting on the final 1 or 2 to ready up, while everyone still continues to kill each other for whatever reason. One of the more annoying things. Do you know what I mean? I don't like that kind of stuff. Get into the ESEA, get into your warm up phase. But then again, whatever makes people happy, right? Nova in the chat, bet on top fragger. I think it's big Nova. I mean, that's a large thing to throw at yourself there, mate.
He does have the highest ADR of the team so far. He's sitting on the top with 71. However, man to watch on the other team, Cox. I don't know whether it's Mr. Ozone or Morozone. We're going to go with Morozone, I guess.
Morozone,
but he's sitting at 123 ADR. That's insane.
Yeah. His ESA stats are pretty a lot of well, I say pretty good. They're just big shoulders, aren't they? Let's be honest. The way that that ADR stacks up against the rest of the team. I've always found though, like, and I think me and you more or less said the same thing at the start of last season when we were covering Aura. It's so difficult to really read into stats at this point. I like reading them when they're like halfway through the season. All the teams have had a chance to really have a proper go at each other. And we can get a bit more info from it that way. We are on knife round. We might as well swing to it. I mean, you and I, we do like a knife round, don't we, in fairness?
I mean, of all the knife rounds that we've casted, this one is probably one of the more important ones, because if they can get the CT side first, ER that is, then they're putting themselves in good stead.
Yeah. The teams will switch at the very top, but that is a loss, unfortunately, to Team Yar.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Yes, it is. I do love it when the HUD doesn't like to swap itself over. I will get it swapped now for us. I love the Jakey messages me every time. He's like, you need to press this button in game for it to switch over. That keybind never works for me for some reason. I've got no idea why. Yes, you are correct. There we go. We should be good now, at least, anyway.
Yeah, I think it's all sorted. It does seem like we've got the match underway as well, and this is definitely a pistol round that will be deterministic of how this first half goes. It does seem like Yara are going for a little bit of outside presence, but the bomb's still lurking around in lobby, so this could be anyone's game so far. It could be a red herring thrown towards the B site as you see KoxTeam. They're trying to adjust, trying to figure out what's going on, because it's a bit of pandemonium being thrown around the works right now. We are going to see the two players stack up in vents, and yeah, it looks like it's going to be a roundabout trip to the A site. Just as Cox was starting to believe it was B, the plum gets planted on A, and that's, a really good strat, if anything. Just need to hold on to the post-plant positions here, because it is a unicorn. It's a 5 versus 5 retake, and it is Alex and Tree to hold off the first few, or correction Nova, in fact, but it doesn't matter, because the kills are coming through, and it's just one player left for this Cox team. It doesn't seem like he's going to be able to get much done. Everyone from ER seems to be fragging, and that's a really good sign to see at the start of the game.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, that's exactly what we want from this starting point. We both kind of mentioned that we'd like it to be CT side because we've seen that KoxTeam have been a bit poor on T side. But realistically speaking, I mean, if Yar can continue the momentum that they built up in that first round, more power to them. There was such a chat have already said it, 1,000 IQ play, really, wasn't it, in fairness? And it played out quite nicely. Wrinkly brain, exactly, that's my saying for it. Wrinkly brain praise is exactly what we want to see, and more power to it. Yar are like that though in some ways. We've seen with their previous team iterations that I come from EsportsWales with the Team Yar side. They are the like the youth team, I was going to say, but it's not youth. They're not the main team for EsportsWales, if that makes sense. They're the development team. And it is nice to see those development strats kind of coming through in that team as they learn them bit by bit. But this is completely different from what we saw on Tuesday from them. Yeah,
I mean, it just shows just how much the comfortability on each of these maps plays into it. And we can see them cleaning up here on the A site, which is great to see. The drum was dropped in an awkward spot, but they'll recover that, and it should be a round win. I'm going to hold my breath as I say that, because anything can happen with bullets flying through smokes. Nothing will connect, but yeah, going back to your point, how comfortable these teams are on each map will definitely play into how well they can move around and execute these strats, and even it plays into the strat book that the caller can draw from. So seeing that they're a bit more comfortable on Nuke is definitely a promising sign.
Yeah, because there's many there's strats you can pull from Nuke that you can push into other maps, which is quite intuitive in a way if you're a big sort of strat caller. If Nova is able to kind of get them into wraps into this map and then take them into maps like Mirage, for example, and maybe do a bit more work into that map with them, it's definitely going to have a bigger impact later into their season, especially when you start to get to those like nitty gritty maps. Laugh just going to town on team there. Ooh. Rozon is able to clear up Nova, and one additional player drops. I didn't quite catch the frag. I believe that might have been Tassus. Yeah, that was Asus.
Should we go with Asus?
Asus. Let's go for Asus.
Like the brand, right?
Yeah, let's do that. I mean, why not? Again, ESEA and the wonderful names that players somehow get away with every single time. But yeah, bomb plant from down in B site. I mean, post-plant position is important at B, but it doesn't really feel like KoxTeam are going to do much other than try to recover weapons. Yeah, I mean, you can see, like, the AKs are picked up. They're going to back off. Retain those into the next round.
That's definitely the wise thing to do in this situation, I mean, because they have set up the economy in this way, they might even have more firepower than Team ER into the following round. But, it is a bonus round of sorts, and we can definitely see these MAC-10s put in some good work. It's just, dependent on the strat calls. And so far, I've got to say, the strats have been pretty on point.
Yeah, they have indeed. Tree needs to get himself out of there, though. Oh, there is actually a frag elsewhere, though. Alex will go
Alex,
down.
Yep.
Yeah, Alex, yeah, we remember that now from our conversation the other day. Alex will actually drop. So again, that's that firepower difference coming into it, as you mentioned. There is money in the bank for him to buy up, but he is going to have to. Yeah, I was going to say he's going to have to drop around more or less.
It was one of the MAC-10s, so luckily they don't have to reinvest in a rifle.
Yeah, that's very true. There's a team knife coming out though. Nova is the man to take that blade.
They need to nerf him, Nick. He's going too strong.
That is exactly the reason. We've looked at his ESEA stats and we can see that he's got the biggest ADR so far. And Team Yar are like, hey, I want a bit of that cake. Come back here.
Some of the youth exuberance coming into play.
100%. Nova seems to have his own. Oh, unlucky Alex there. Yeah, that's a timing again, isn't it, really? You can check that as much as you want to, but that misstep, and then all of a sudden you're going to get shot in the back of the head. Never entertaining.
It's not quite dire situations yet, but with a ramp take coming through, that does open a couple of doors for them. They are going to be cornered if they don't react responsively enough. However, there is a player down here, and that's a nice shot from Tree. Great responsiveness from him, and they can position themselves around the B site. We will be going into a post plant with an even keel 4 versus 4 setup. It's just whether Cox want to go for this, because right now I'm not sure that they should. No. It's the first trade, AVK going down, and well, I'm hesitant to say that they should be pulling off, although it doesn't seem to be the case, as they're wandering their way through double doors into the control, and it seems like they're just lurking about a bit too long, maybe outstaying their welcome.
Yeah, indeed, and for some reason Auto Director wants to follow Nova a second. Obviously, Auto Director's read into our sort of setup as it were. Let's be honest though, Tree taking that initial frag as they push into B site and into control room, that's such a crucial frag to get.
Yeah, it really is.
He misses that shot and that puts a stop on the push into B, or stifles it at least anyway. They lose the AWPer immediately, and then that round could have gone completely the opposite direction, losing 1 or 2 pushing into site like that.
Yeah. Entry AWPing. It's not what you regularly see, but if it's effective, it's definitely a good tool to pull out the toolbox.
Exactly. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Is how we like to say it, us elderly people. But it is working for them so far, and we saw Tree kind of react a bit with the AWP, as much as it was a deafening loss back on Tuesday, but we saw him react quite well with the AWP, so it'd be nice to see him build on that confidence more into the late stage of the season as well. Into the middle stage of the season, actually. We need to get there first.
That is true. Oh, there's a mini push, but it's completely shut down. AVK with a double kill. Nova and Alex getting put down, and that's going to make things a little bit tricky because ER, they only have 3 players left, and they're not in the best spots to be able to play off each other. They're kind of relying on Cox to make some mistakes now as they go for these entries. Laugh gets spotted out. Luckily, doesn't lose any health, but he's just going to have to sit patiently, but not patient enough as he gets caught out as well. It's all left onto Tree. It's all fallen apart for ER. It was starting so well, but it just didn't go right in the end for this round.
Yeah, such an awkward... You can't react off that double kill into... It's an awful position to be in from ER's perspective, because they just can't react off the back of it. It kind of forces their hand to make either silly decisions or to go for the longest retreat back into CT and hold what you have for over a minute. I think it would have been at that point, which is why we saw kind of a silly play to push out after being spotted from Laugh. But realistically, what more can he do in that position?
Yeah, it's it's a little bit telling that, the strats that have been working so far are where ER are being dynamic and, forcing the issue. And then when they're kind of sitting back a little bit more stagnant in style, that's kind of where they fall. So maybe they can make some adjustments and come back into things and maintain their lead. It is going to be a Cox round on the board, though. That is their first one. And they'll be looking to, build on that with 4 AKs on the board. So it's going to be an even keel one-shot headshot for both of these teams now, which can be dangerous.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, this is the other thing that we've talked about quite a fair bit in the past with this sort of map. You get a team like Cox now, they put that round on the board, and they've done it in quite a dominant fashion as well. It's spectacular getting the double kill like that, especially off the anti-flash play that was put into it. That will build that confidence up that little bit more, and you can really run the risk of allowing teams to run away with that. So yeah, I'll need to bounce back in this round and do it quite effectively.
There is a bit of a missed smoke there, and AVK was trying to spot it out. The timings don't work out for him, but that's going to give ER a little bit of a timing window to sneak across this outside area, and they have snuck across. It's just whether they can trade out effectively and clear their angles, because there is a bait and switch setup. There's Haiku, going in for the first initial entry, and he even picks up the kill. That wasn't necessarily needed, but definitely a welcome bonus that Cox will try and take advantage of, or maintain that advantage, because now they're realizing that Alex is stuck in garage. Oh, he goes down as well, and there's another 2-man deficit for ER to try and recover. We'll see if they can make it happen in this case, although it is definitely going to be a tall task to make it happen. Mr. Ozone, he's going to hit the first AWP shot, another second, and Tree will fall as well. Cox, they're recovering quite well here.
Yeah, and the silence from Yar in trying to come back into that round was deafening. There just seemed to be no kind of fluid movement towards Cox. But again, 7 rounds played so far. Well, this is the 7th round, I should say. It's still all to play for at the minute, and I think they'll need a round like this where they can kind of put the feelers out towards Cox and kind of try and get a pick here, a pick there from it. Try and maybe use it to bounce back. Yeah, that's. I mean, it felt like panic, but it also felt like it was planned panic, if you know what I mean. Speaking of planned panic, 2 picks from that. I mean, it's not the worst. It's definitely not the best, though.
Yeah, that was a partial investment. They were hoping to get, at least a bomb plant or, a little bit more out of that round, but 2, kills isn't the worst spot to be in. You can always do worse, and we should be onto a buy around here. There is going to be a MAC-10 purchased up by Nova. He might be trying to angle his way into the vents, although as I say that, he looks as if he's lining up a smoke, so we'll see what transpires with that. Might just be the simple outside play that we've seen a couple times from this ER squad. Does seem like it might be a fake, in fact, as they do reposition it around the lobby area. Cox, however, are trying to use their utility to shut down any aggressive plays that ER might have looked for. I'm not sure they're fully aware of the investment or the level of the investment here, but Alex, this is going to be such a critical frag. He needs to be aware of this, and picking up that frag is really big for them because it puts a thorn on the back of Cox. You can see there, Haiku, he's not sure whether to rotate down the ramp or hold it because, with Alex getting that frag, he could definitely get stabbed in the back here. It does seem like Yara are trying to maintain this pressure on ramp. They've done it a couple of times now, and they're going to continue to do so. Not sure if that was meant to happen, but it's not going to matter because you can pick up the first onto Nova. It was a good trade, and, AVK does take out Alex, so that does bring things back to a 3 versus 3, but they finally have some ramp control, and they can try and angle their way into B or A from this, although Morozone, he's going to try and lock down the under heaven area. Oh, that's a good timing from Tree. Absolutely saves his teammate, and that means they can get the bomb plant. They should hear both these players towards the ramp area, and does seem that that's the case. Tree is in fact going to reposition. That should help them, but it's all about the timings and how this utility is used, because effective retake utility can just shut down any kind of setup that you want to have on this B site. They are clearing well, and that will be the first trade going towards them. Tree going for a bit of a desperation trade, and that's just not going to work out. Cox, they're going to level things up 4-4.
I'm a big fan of that contact frag from Alex right at the very beginning of the round. He's basically pulled all the attention from Cox away from their current start points and pulled them into a position where they have to rotate off the back of it. And he's kind of forced the hand of a number of Cox players, which given Yar a bit more room to manoeuvre and breathe onto ramp. But yeah, it felt like there was all that work done for not really a lot other than bomb plant, of course. Post plant position is a bit of a weird one for me on that one also. Like, that first initial push you're always going to get. I feel like you're always going to lose that fight. Stacking down towards door is a good idea. Double doors maybe a better one. I know it was smoked out, of course, but you've still got options from there. I don't know. It's me, my matchmaking days, that is, though, isn't it? As I've been told before. Ooh, this could be deadly. 1, 2, 3 kills off the back of that. No, he won't get a third. In fact, he'll pull back. And that's AVK dropped to laugh and...
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, God.
Well... There's some youth coming through on the side of ER as they don't consider the fact that Cox have rotated through to ramp, and that's going to be a quick one and done as Cox actually take the lead for the first time in this map. Yeah,
from a ER perspective, you wouldn't expect that rotation to come in that quickly, but I mean, look at the way that ER have been playing the last couple of rounds, where they've been doing contact pushes onto ramp. Cox have kind of read into that, and they've feeded an extra player into that position just in case it happens again, and as a result, he's ready to rotate and start slapping heads.
Oh, that's unfortunate. AVK getting an opening kill, and there's a double up onto Zyrex even. I feel like they're starting to lose steam a little bit. We've seen this happen quite a few rounds now where they've lost 2 men and they're just not able to recover anything from that. Cox are being fairly dynamic, and that's props to them. They're making the correct adjustments, and it's absolutely catching ER out right now. It's just a matter of whether Nova can think up any adjustments and any modifications to their default, or even just a quick, gimmick play to try and shut down any of these plays from the Cox team. As we did say earlier, Cox don't have the best T side on record. That's not to say that they're going to be deficient on their T side, but it does mean that as long as ER can build up a couple rounds, they should buy themselves a bit of hope, although they're not going to be able to buy themselves around here as everyone just falls, and that's kind of unfortunate, but it's the story that's been told for the last couple of rounds now. It does seem like Cox is starting to run away with things.
Yeah, and this pause coming in, obviously we don't see where the pauses come from. I'd love to be able to tell you that it's a Team Yar one, which is what I would expect it to be, but we know the age-old story from way back. I think I explained it to you a while back, Jammer, that I mentioned that they'll be calling the pause now at this point because they want to take a breather and try and figure out what's going wrong, when in reality the team are going, we haven't got a clue why we're pausing, we're just doing it because it feels like it's the right time. So it's probably the same for Yar, to be honest, but I would hope it's a pause for that reason, if that makes sense. Take that breather if it is coming in from them. But 6-4 is your scoreline into the dying stages of the first half of this best of 1. And Cox have really started to light the fires up a little bit, haven't they? And they've really started to be hyper aggressive towards these picks.
Yeah, it does kind of seem that the defaults that they've been running right now are kind of being read into and taken advantage of. We've seen, I think, Laugh a couple of times nade through the door and try and take that early aggressive fight, and they're just prepared for it now on the Cox team. It's a little bit stagnant, and I don't want to, call ER out too much because it was working, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it, like you were saying, but it is broken now, so how are they going to fix it?
Yeah, exactly. This is the make or break moment, isn't it? How do we
swing ground, if you will? Yeah,
exactly. How do we recover back off quite a number of rounds back to back from Nox really kind of punishing us? That for me is not the way that you do it. Pushing through smoke straight into the waiting arms of Asus. They are able to get a trade off the back of it, but that's too heavy a loss for me.
I mean, every inch that AVK covers here is just more info gain for the rest of the Cox team, and they can rotate around this beautifully. That is such important info that he's gaining right now. I don't even think Zyrex is aware of this. Oh no, it's all falling apart. And I mean, it's almost deservedly so right now, because they've not been executing the most stellar of plans right here. Pushing through smokes isn't ideal. It can definitely work, but it kind of seems like there's a lack of method to the madness right now, and I don't like saying that.
No, definitely not. Again, we mentioned this earlier, KoxTeam haven't had the best of T sides, so we still have that going for us, but losing, winning CT side in the fashion that they're, looking like they're going to, is going to do quite a lot of damage to the R as far as trying to recover those rounds back as they switch to CT. No matter how poorly Nox have played in the past as T side on Nuke, it's still going to be a massive uphill battle.
Well, there is going to be a push into ramp, and they will pick up one kill, but Zyrex, if you can do some damage with this rifle, then it's definitely an effective strat to call in, although I'm not quite sure about this strat. It does seem like Iara favouring these smoke plays today, and it's almost resemblant of NA kind of strats. He will get the first. I don't know if he'll pick up the second. Not quite. It is the star player from this Cox team that closes things out, and we are going to end up in an 8-4 scoreline. I didn't imagine this scoreline when we watched the first 5 rounds, Nick.
No, definitely not. First five rounds going all ER, in the sense of how punishing they were in those first 5 rounds. It's like a night and day in comparison. Towards the second part of the first half, I should say. I'm gonna find a better way of saying that, because every time I say it, it's like a tongue twister. You know what I mean? I mess that up every time. Laugh will fall, same for Tree, however, in 2 separate instances across the rest of this map, and Nova is gonna try and do something nice with that Molotov, actually.
Oh, he's not expecting the push through from Mini. There is a trade in place, but there was such a lack of finesse to that upper push. It's just kind of petered out into nothing, and they ended up in this kind of situation that is recoverable, but there was definitely more that could have been done with that, especially if you've got some players that are able to throw those support flashes and nades, or even just pushing through in a more effective manner would have helped there. It is a little bit of it seems to be some like lack of confidence of committing to it, and a little bit of lack of execution as well. As we just kind of saw a couple of players try and push out, get stopped by the molly, and then get traded through. And that's just kind of matchmaking style gameplay. I hate to say it, because it's definitely not what they're aiming for, and it's not the game plan, but that's just what it looks like from the eye test.
Yeah, indeed.
It will be Zyrex and 1 versus 2 clutch. And as I said from before, this is still a recoverable round, but there's still a little bit more to be wanted, and does seem as if he's going to walk into the waiting hands of the AWP. He will close it down, and man, this is kind of counterintuitive to how we thought this game was going to go.
Yeah, completely. I mean, it's still recoverable right there towards right at the very end, but just obviously we've got the benefit of looking back over those rounds in hindsight and being able to take a bit more time to break them down, but yeah, it just feels like at the minute Yara's throwing everything at Nox, but it's thrown at it in a really kind of chaotic way.
Yeah.
Chaos doesn't work, unfortunately. Not all the time, at least.
Oh no, they didn't check close. Oh,
they haven't. This is so much info.
Oh, that's so unfortunate. Asus picking up 2 kills, and he's able to fade away. He's not even being punished for this. He can just wander about. He's repositioned, and that's such a dire situation. Nova can't get anything done as well. In fact, it's Alex with the MAC-10 who gets the first kill, and that will be the only kill that's got, from an ER player so far. Does upgrade to the AWP, but 1 versus 4 with the AWP isn't, really on the cards, so to speak. No. He is going to dance around ramp for a bit, and he has a minute to work with, so he can get a couple of kills, but I think a round win might be out of the question, and there we go. Ativ is going to close that one out. KoxTeam, they're putting on a remarkable CT side compared to, their previous match on Nuke.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, this is like, again, it's night and day from what we saw from the first rounds from Yar, but when you take into consideration Nox's experience on this map and the info that we, from a CT standing point, Yar will have to really, really dig deep into that second half and, pull everything out of the bag essentially to get these rounds back. I mean, the 2 kills there shouldn't be allowed to get 2 off the back of that. Just no one seems to be checking.
Lack of awareness coming through as well.
Yeah.
Man, the rotations are just killer.
It's the lack of awareness, but it's also the lack of awareness then putting them in those sort of really awkward, punishing positions. Where they've got no real way of recovering off the back of it. It's sad to see, unfortunately. But again, we are lined up ready for a second half, so who knows what will happen. Hopefully Team Yar will be able to do something to, bring it back. Potentially. Yeah. Try to bring it back, at least anyway.
I mean... Sorry, I was just going to say, in the grand scheme of things, realistically speaking, this is ER's first, season together, and I think there was only one player that returned from last season, so you have to give them a little bit of time to, recuperate and have some experience on these matches, especially in officials, which are a different beast from, scrims or pracs or anything else. So, I mean, even if it is a loss today, I don't think that's, the worst spot to be in. There's definitely a lot to learn from. They did some good things that they can look back and be like, yeah, let's continue to do things like this. And there's things that they can look back on and be like, okay, I don't really know why I did this. Let's adjust this or change this in some way. So, it's not all for naught. Alex is going to jump on top of Garage, actually. I don't know if you've spotted out. Not quite, but just get eventually spotted out. AVK will tap him down, but they've rotated in perfect positions for this, and they can shut down this A push completely. There is just 2 players left, one on the A site and one pushing from Mini to face up against Nova and Tree. They do have to be aware of the vent drop, although as I say that, the bomb gets dropped and it's a 2 versus 1. They're making it work.
How? But they are. It's a weird swing run of a pistol round. I know we don't normally call them swing rounds and pistol rounds, but it genuinely feels that way, at least. Bomb has been recovered by Nox, though, and they will get down into position to plant it at B. AVK is, doing quite well as far as KT ratio is concerned, but even a 1v2 like this does spell a little bit of trouble for him, at least anyway. It's whether Nova and Tree push at the same time together, and it looks like they are going to do that, which is perfect from our perspective. It's just whether someone's actually going to keep an eye on that red box. It's the last place they haven't checked. There we go. Yeah. I was going to say, it's the last place you haven't checked, so give it a go. Outside of running up ramp, I think that was the only other place that he potentially could have been. They've seen control room, he's not there. They looked everywhere else. But good round. Good opening pistol round from Yar. I mean, this is the other thing that we can take into consideration now. If they can have a good run like we saw them in the first half, that puts them up to 11-9, still in favour of Nox. If we saw them take 4 rounds back-to-back like we did in the first half. It's certainly recoverable still. It is just, as I mentioned earlier, very much an uphill battle to get that recoverability out of it.
Yeah, it does seem like you're, favourable towards these upper garage pushes, and Zyrox is going to get punished for it in this round. That's a FAMAS that can get recovered. Even one player getting spotted out in heaven, that's not an ideal spot to be in, especially on a deco round where, these effective deagles can have one-shot headshot, potential at any point on the map almost. They are gaining outside control, and Nova has to forfeit ramp. They will give the info over, however, that they're pushing secret, and should be able to adjust with that. For some reason, Auto Director wants to watch Tree holding down ramp, but
yeah, mine did the same. I was like, well, okay, well, that's perfect. I mean, he's not in a position to take any contact like Alex is, even. Who will actually pick up a frag off Haiku. This is a B push, and Nova needs to be ready for it. And I don't think he realizes that it's going to come from door. I think he's still expecting that push. He can
hear the door open, and then he can adjust to it, right?
Yeah, but it's how quick can you adjust the 2 players? Ooh. Okay.
I hate when players quick switch like that.
Yeah, same. It's inviting trouble for yourself.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, you never know in this game. You know, timings are off. Players can do random things, and at the end of the day, players are trying to catch timings against you. So, you know, that downtime where you're quick switching weapons is just time that you're vulnerable to being taken advantage of. But I'm gonna stop giving ER grief, and hopefully they can win this ever important gun round, and it will be the first of this second half. So it is a critical point in this stage of the match. If they can win this round, they can definitely even things up, and well, then it's anyone's game.
I was going to say, we do still have a smattering of MP9 still left out there on the field, and that's one of them dropping straight away.
Mm-hmm.
We've had this argument before, you and I have, and I think I'm now more inclined to agree with you that an MP9 up against an AK can sometimes win, depending on how close you are, and how much of a drop you have on the other player. But unfortunately, in that scenario, he's just not lucky enough, I suppose. In some sense, he's just not got the drop quick enough. But Nox,
oh, Nova. Oh, okay, there you go.
Okay. Yeah, that way is a little bit too small. It's the other MP9 out of the field.
He has bought enough time for the rotations to come through. There we go. There's the first from Alex. He could have eliminated the plant, but the rest of the team just weren't in positions to do so. Oh, okay. Well, it's getting a bit awkward now. It is as I say that, a 1 versus 3 situation. Laugh has it all on his shoulders, and there are 2 players in ramp to eliminate. He did have a timing where he could have won the round off the first kill, but it's not to be, as KoxTeam. They win the first gun round of the second half, and that's not what you want to see.
No, and yeah, of course, I was saying, I think you mentioned this on Tuesday, and I'm going to repeat it again, essentially, that stuff like this, where we are in a situation with Yar where there's not a lot of good rounds going in their favour. It's still learnable things. It's still stuff that they can pick up on to help them as they move deeper and deeper into this season of ESEA. It is very early days, of course, for all the teams that are involved in this season.
It is early days indeed, and man, it's still early days in the second half as well. Actually,
definitely. Yeah, 12-6 is recoverable. We've seen quite a number of teams recover from that. It's these all important kind of like eco rounds now. How many kills you can get out of the back of it, if you can prevent a bomb plant, if you can do any number of things to Nox, get those time-ins.
I like the patience coming out from ER. They're willing to concede areas of the map, and just as I say that, they're going to push straight into the waiting arms of ASUS. Oh, okay. Alex can pick up 2. He's having a good game so far. He's going to go in for more. He gets some dessert. Will he get away? Just barely. And even though he doesn't, survive, he still drops the player to 5 HP. And that means these deagles can, tickle him almost with the end of the barrel and drop him. But drop him nonetheless, they must. Tree can recover an AK, and that makes this round definitely doable. Nova's given his cards up, and that means that these 2 players are trying to search for Tree, but as he's found and eliminated, well, that kind of spells the end of the round. Rozone, he's going to close things out, and while he hasn't necessarily been the, most fragging player on the server, he's definitely had quite a bit of impact.
Yeah, it's exactly that. He's been very impactful, taking out those extra 1 or 2 frags on key rounds, like that last round, for example, where Yar potentially were on the winning foot at one point or another, especially after seeing Alex drop so many players that were pushing into him. I think that's the kind of key thing at the minute, is that the impact plays are all going in Nox's favour, and Yar are really struggling to kind of counteract that from, counteract or try and stop that from happening as well.
Yeah, it seems to me a little bit like ER are a little bit lacking in confidence, and they're playing very reactive CS, and that's by no means a bad game plan. It's just, the difference of playing to win versus playing, not to lose. And it just kind of seems like they don't believe in themselves enough to make the individual plays that we know they can make and win these rounds out. There's a good opening frag, but it is going to be this B site that's calling the question, as Jesus can take one out in the outside area. Tree's rotating down ramp, and there's an opportunity for him to eliminate some players. He gets 1.5, dinking down AVK, and that means that it's all onto Zyrex and Laugh to close things out here. This is definitely a swing round. If they lose this round here, then we can almost call things quits for ER. They are going to start to jiggle around and get some info, but if they're not watching, if they're not careful, okay, there's the adjustment. AVK goes down, and suddenly this round's doable again. It almost slips from their fingers, but they clutch it just in the last moment. That Molotov is being put to use, but they're not going to find any players with it. They need to tap the bomb to bait out the push, but they're a bit confused, and that's definitely not the situation they want to be in. It is going to be Laugh to hold off the player, and that's a little bit of a sigh of relief for ER now.
Yeah, definitely. That will put a bit of confidence into them at least anyway, give them a moment to breathe. The pause coming out, again, we can't see who's paused. I explain this every single time that there's a pause, but I'm just going to continue to do it. ESEA doesn't tell us who it is when we're watching from a spectator, so we have no idea which team is paused, but we can almost guesstimate, at least anyway, that it potentially could have been Yar, maybe allowing that last round to kind of settle with Nox. Who knows? I mean, we need to rewind the tape a minute here, though, because you said something which I never thought I'd ever hear you say about the solo plays. Is that you advocating Hero CS?
By no means am I advocating Hero CS.
Is that by proxy of you advocating Hero CS? I mean, that feels like that might be the case, to be completely honest. But
okay, there's a distinction there that I'll go through. We'll wait to see if Cox are going for an aggressive play. But I will explain that distinction in a moment. Oh, there we go. This is the kind of coordination I'm talking about. A lobby crunch. There's the individual plays coming through, and they're working together as a team. I guess that's kind of a contradictory statement, but I think you can kind of catch the drift.
I get what you mean. Yeah.
That's the You know what? Applauding ER for explaining my point for me, because that was exactly the kind of thing that I wanted to see. Some controlled aggression from the CT side to put some pressure onto KoxTeam and show them, hey, we're not going to go down without a fight. We're not going to stay stagnant and play reactive to what you're throwing at us. And they've got bomb control. They've got lobby control. They can definitely set up around this area with some strong crossfires. And this should be a round win for them. There we go. It is just ASOS left. I was putting emphasis on that to not call upon the caster's curse. Oh, okay. There we go. Oh, okay. I thought it was going to go for the BM then, but
we've seen that happen so many times where a player's gone for the BM and then all of a sudden they just get slapped into the next oblivion. So I'm super glad that he didn't do it, but I'm also kind of sad that he didn't do it because I want to see it. You know what I mean? Like, it's that moment of kind of panic that I want to see from a Nox team player. But 13-8 is your scoreline, as Team Yar seem to be on a little bit more of a bounce back moment at the moment as we speak even. And you'd expect this to go 13-9 realistically, given the economy difficulties that Nox are in at the moment. But again, we've seen stranger things happen with eco rounds, especially on this map.
Yeah, it is going to be some ramp aggression. Oh, I don't know if that's the right play from Tree there. He gives his life up for nothing. I'm not sure. He could have just, held his ground and played a containment game, but KoxTeam, they pick up a rifle. They picked up a bag load of ground, and they can definitely double back and use, this effective ground that they've gained to great use. Or I don't know what I was trying to say, but
but the other thing of it is, well, like Tree hasn't gained any info from that. I mean, you know there's a number of players pushing that location. There's no point in you swinging out to meet them. In that scenario, you are literally just giving your life away for nothing at all. You're giving a rifle over, essentially, not giving any extra info to your team. I think that might be a little bit of a misplay as well, to be honest with you. I'd be inclined to agree with you on that.
Oh, this is a critical play from Zyrex. If he picks up the second, there we go. We start to see ER stabilize based off that individual play. And that's another one of those individual plays that I think ER needed. It's starting to light that fire underneath them, and they definitely seem to have a little bit more passion when, playing these rounds out. Oh, Laugh. He could get caught off guard. Oh, the shots go to the wayside, and he can adjust off that. There we go. The round should fall into ER's favour, and, well, Rozone, he can save this AK.
The way that Nox have been playing, I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to go for this, to be honest with you. They've been liking the hero play, or liking... I say go for it, I mean, in the sense of getting an extra frag off the back of it. But, I mean, an AK recovered is still a good round for them, at least anyway, as far as economy is concerned. It's going to be one less rifle to buy up into, especially off the back of a bit of a crunch round for them. 13-9 is your scoreline. And yeah, I mean, Yar seem to be stepping forward a little bit more. You know, I get now what you mean with regards to the individual plays. Obviously, I wasn't advocating Hero CS myself either, of course. I was just merely making reference to it.
Yeah, you got to throw the banter in there sometimes, mate.
Exactly.
I get it.
Yeah, I got to get my own back every now and again.
Oh, Cyrus gets tagged down. He probably should have lost more health than he did there. A bit lucky to get away with his tail between his legs, but scamper away he does. And I think outside's a little bit vulnerable here. It is just Alex trying to lock things down, or at least gain the info that there's players outside. Oh, okay. Zyrex, okay. That's an easy kill for him. And not sure what the game plan was there, but as long as ER can maintain this lead and not get overly aggressive with their info plays, then they should be able to close this round out. Alex is going to commit to that outside play, and he can pick that up, and that is the extremities of the map shut down. It is just going to be this A play now, and Zyrex has the info. They should be able to rotate around and support each other. There we go. There's the rotations going through, and Alex can triple up on his kills. That's great. It is just ABK now.
He's just a madman, isn't he? Let's be honest. Yeah. Like, we're not about individualism, and that was literally like that's 3 rounds in a row we've seen him play as an individual, but super effective. And yeah, I mean that's some really good rounds back to back for Team Yara. In fairness, again exploiting that perhaps you know that weakness potentially from KoxTeam as far as T side's concerned on this map. You know, causing that little bit of an extra kind of flush moment for them, but they have to think, you know, on their feet a little bit more. Yeah, Alex playing outside like that, it's great play from him. Then to rotate himself into position to help out with his teammate is perfect.
Yeah, it is. That's a nice hold from Laugh, and the mollies will lock them out. They're just going to continue to push through because they've kind of, you know, have to commit behind it. But there we go. We're going to end up in a 5 versus 2 situation, and you know, while we're waiting for this round to peter out, I think, you know, returning back to the, you know, start narrative of this game, you can see just how Cox's T side is weak, and perhaps if EOS did manage to win that knife round and start on the CT side, they might have carried some of this confidence through into their T side, but that's a shoulda, woulda, coulda situation.
Yes.
This is the situation we're in, and it does seem like ER are starting to stabilize and gain their feet again.
Yeah, I mean, this is... Again, we go back to the statement I made in the first half. It feels like night and day from Team Yar. They're doing very well in the crunch moments that are needed. They're getting good high impact kills. Alex playing outside is playing wonderfully. I'm just wondering when this sort of happy hour, so to speak, is going to break, and how quickly Team Yar can kind of recover if it does end up breaking.
How many nights and days has it been?
Yeah, well, it's been a few so far.
Yeah,
it's been 46 years. Sorry, that's a terrible meme reference, but why not?
Oh,
me whenever I work with a caster that's like 10 years younger than me. Anyway, or 10 plus years, I probably should say on that one.
Is it really?
Yeah, probably. I don't know. No, I don't know. We'll come back to that conversation another time, because at the minute Yara just powering through and thankfully changing the subject before we get into that subject. For me, quite effectively, the bomb will get planted by Nox, and they've recovered good ground into A, but a 3v2 with, well, 3v1 now, correction. 3v none even is the correction, as Team Yar take another round off the board. Yeah, I remember working a Valorant gig, and this was last year. This is terrible, by the way. And the person they buddied me up with, this isn't the reason why I don't cover Valorant, by the way. This is just one of the many reasons why I don't cover Valorant. The guy that they had me buddied up with was 18.
Oh,
and I'm
nice.
Like, I'm 30 something. And yeah, it was one of those moments where I was sat there talking to this guy, and I was making references to stuff, and you know, like it was back when like synthwave was really big on Twitch and all that kind of, you know, that kind of vibe, and I was making reference to it, and it was just lost on him entirely, and I just felt incredibly old. Even the producer was like 28, 29. He was going, bro, this is like, it feels like you're dying on your feet, but you're not. That's a really good flash. Oh, he'll get you off the back of it, but AVK's just that little bit quicker to stop the onslaught of damage. But that is a huge amount of damage, isn't it, in fairness? Yeah,
I was just going to say, you know, the info alone that you gain from that makes it worth it. It's going to be a bit of an unfortunate push from Laugh there, maybe getting a bit overzealous with the push that they have, actually, but as I say that, both the AWPers and, well, not both the AWPers, sorry, Nova and one of the AWPers pushed through to lobby. Oh, okay. This is definitely dangerous territory now. It is just Tree with the AWP, and it's been flipped on its head. Ace is an outstanding player so far, and he's going to try and clutch this one out. Drops down to the B site. If Tree can win this round, he will even things up, but KoxTeam, this could be their key back into the game almost, because their T side. There we go.
Nice.
That's it's not what you want to see if you're an ER player. Kind of throwing the round away almost.
Some good plays going into middle. Like that, let's not take away from that. But yeah, I mean, that 2-piece coming in from AVK was just something else. In fairness, to give them that little bit of extra space to push himself down into lower to get the bomb plant. But 13-13 is the scoreline. Can we go to OT? Or, well, can we win it? In fact, let's get to that point first of all. If we go to OT, I'll remember. Don't you worry. I've learned my lesson. I've had the DM from John going, now, if the scoreline is even at the end, what do we do? We don't click end stream. Yeah, I mean, this is very nice plays coming in from Yar. A little bit close to the wire, of course, in that last round, though.
Yeah, KoxTeam, though, they're going to put the racing skates on and they're going to rush down to this B site. This is a really quick change of pace, and it does seem to have caught ER off guard. There are two players here, and they have somewhat of a crossfire, but it can definitely be put pressure under as Alex gets taken out. Zyrex as well, he gets taken out, and there is one player left on this lower side, but he gets heard from the ticks, and that's it. That's the round over and done with, mate. Cox have just won it after that change of pace, and ER just weren't prepared.
Yeah, it was like a finger snap, wasn't it? It was just, right, okay, we're going to push this way and we're going to be super aggressive in that direction. And it worked out perfectly for him. Another poll is called into effect. Who it's for, we'll never know, of course. But I would imagine that would be maybe a KoxTeam pause. Let that round kind of sit on Yar. I don't think... I mean, that potentially could be a Yar pause again, though, to be honest. When you think about it, after winning that many rounds on the bounce and then all of a sudden... getting the rug pulled from underneath you is probably not the nicest of feelings.
Yeah, I mean, irrespective of who called it, what would you be saying in this situation?
I'd be like, chin up, do you know what I mean? Like, so that was a rough round to lose, essentially. They had good cover positions on B site. It was just unfortunate the way that the pushes came through. And yeah, as you mentioned, that tick damage going into... I think it was Alex, actually, that was on ramp.
It was Nova, I think.
Nova, sorry, was it?
Yeah.
Such a nice position, that is, because you're not really going to get a player that's going to check halfway up a ramp, It's always going to be the last thing to be looked at.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Well, there's another change of pace, but it's on the opposite side of the map. Tree doesn't go in for the desperation play this time. Although, actually, no, he wasn't the player there to do it, but
no.
Regardless, this KoxTeam, they've been harassing different ways to get to this B site now. One round after another, there is a spam through the wall, not going to quite connect, and Laugh going down means that ER might want to consider saving. Alex is going to push through the molly, and Tree gets caught off guard as well. He should have been taken out, but he gets that kill, and, well, it's just a matter of time before Zyrex goes down. Tree, he only has an AWP, and he shouldn't have gone for that, but he didn't want to give them match point, and, well, it ended up being a fruitless push anyway.
It did. I mean, I can see I can kind of understand the reason behind it. They do have the economy to buy themselves back into this round, but it's forced them into this awkward position now where if they win this one, they need to win it with at least 3 players left up.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're going to be in dire straits going into the next round, and it's just you're going to fall apart essentially before you can really recover back. And obviously, must-win rounds like they are now, you can't really risk too much with those must-win rounds. 15-13 is the score though, and you were going to say sorry.
I mean, I was going to comment on your calculated pushes and stuff because we see Zyrex in a very aggressive position here outside. If he gets this kill though, it should help buy ER some, well-needed space. He's dancing around the red box, though. I don't know if he's read into the player being here. It's all going to be the timing. Who spots who? There we go. Zyrex can close that one out, and that's a little bit of a sigh of relief, although the danger isn't over and done with yet. They are going to push through ramp together. The T side, there we go. Tree can rotate in, and he doesn't give his life up. In fact, he takes one away. He does get spammed out, however, and that fake away will give this KoxTeam a lot of outside space. That's probably too much control again given away. Asus, he locks down the back area, but it's only for one kill as they trade each other out. And 3 versus 2 is definitely a spot that you're okay to be in if you're Team ER, but like you said earlier, they need to keep these 3 players alive and make sure that this is a clean round win. Zyrex, he gets the info spotted out, and with 30 seconds left, that's going to be valuable info. It's just whether he can stay alive and halt this push, buy some time for the rotates to come in, because one of them is coming in through the B site. That's even sound cues being given away. Zyrex catches one off guard, and that will be all he gets, but a 1 versus 2 should be okay for Team ER to pick up. There's 12 seconds. He didn't have to commit to this, but, well, he's given the space to. This is, oh no.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, that got a little bit hairy there for a second, didn't it?
I think ER definitely went into panic mode, but they're able to recover it in the end.
Yeah, panic mode definitely kicked into effect then. It was like, okay, well, let's throw everything at this guy. Let's try and get it done as quick as we can. Another pause in play. 15-14 is the scoreline. Y'all need to win this one. I mean, they kept one player up, so they're not going to be able to get like a decent buy-in to this one against Nox's, fairly heavy cash flow that they've got available. So
I was just going to say, Nova at the start, before the game started, he was like, who's going to have the was it the most frags or the most ADR? I forget. Top fragger. There you go.
Top fragger. Yeah. Wait a minute. Where's this? We got the 16. Never mind. The 16 one is done. It's fine. Never mind. If you top frag, I will do 5 gifted. What's one of them?
Well, looks
Where
like
at the moment
that's not to be. But
yeah.
I mean, on the other side of things, Alex, he's having an outstanding match. He's actually the top ADR player on the server. 116 ADR. That's an outstanding, game from him. Perhaps not the player that you'd always expect to be in this situation, but you'd love to see it. The support player, showing the rest of the team how it's done. Of course, behind him there's Tree, 75 ADR, but he's putting up frags on the scoreboard. And then Laugh and Zyrex, they're having a pretty stellar game themselves. I'm a bit surprised, actually, looking at the stats for the second half. To see Cox potentially take the game away.
Yeah, to be completely honest, I'd be heavily inclined to agree. I'm just trying to figure out. We had to play a drop, by the way, which is why the pause is in effect. He's back now. I think it was Tree, if I'm not mistaken, that dropped.
I don't remember. It might have been Zyrex, but
might have been Zyrex. Yeah, it was one of the players at least. Anyway, we'll narrow it down to that. Which is why we're seeing this extended pause coming through while they reset themselves back up. This is such an awkward round though for Yard. I mean, look at the way that utility's been purchased as well. You've got two players favouring more utility over head armor.
If I was the IGL here, I would definitely call this a glaive moment and call something audacious like another lobby crunch. Yeah, definitely not advised, but it's one of those, make or break situations.
It's a 50-50 at the end of the day, and if it works out for you, perfect. If it doesn't, then okay, you tried. It's it's the NFL tactic of the Hail Mary. You know what I mean? It's You're at that point in the game where there can only really be one option for you. It's a Hail Mary or nothing. But we can see Nox have pushed themselves the entirety of the outside. They've managed to get nearly every single one of their players down into secret, and they've taken a bit of damage for it, but it's not really stopping them from making this big push through. Nova's the man to receive first contact. He does have a buddy there to help him out.
Zyrex caught out and Nova can't support him. That's unfortunate, and that's the B site falling. Cox, they've definitely set themselves up to take the game win here. 16-14 might be the score, but Alex, he's got something to say about it. There's the first, there's the second, and he had low health, but he's going to pick up frags no matter what. It's a 3 versus 3. The bomb has been planted. It's just whether ER can adjust to these positions. There's a trade coming through. 2 versus 2 now, and they need to spot out these last two players. Tree putting in some good work, and this is absolutely what you want to see. Tree, he tags him up. He didn't realise, and now it's all to play for. Tree, he wins it out, and there we go. Overtime. How did ER do that? What?
Mate, to have the confidence that Alex has, to go back in for more after that first pick, my guy, jeez, that is somebody needs to get that man a bigger chair because his cojones must be massive. That is like, I mean, he had like 10 HP left, and he's spring peeking out into an AK. Just like super confident. That's exactly what you'd like to see. For those who are new to CS or ESEA in general, I do this every single time, and Jammer will probably tell you. Jammer's probably miming in the background exactly what I'm about to say, but I'm going to do it anyway because it's what I do. For those who are new to ESEA, the way that overtime works in ESEA is I don't stop the stream first and foremost, which is key. Both teams get $16,000 in the bank, and they buy down from $16,000 until we reset into a second half. And the team that wins it is the one that gets 19 first if it's OT1, and so on and so forth as we go through OT2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, and infinite. I think the OT numbers go up to, if I'm not mistaken. There can only be one winner, as the Highlander word goes, or Highlander theme goes. I myself have done an OT6. I can't remember whether it was horrible. It's the worst day of my life. It was an insomnia, last game of the day. I was like, it's group stages, no one's going to go to OT, it'll be fine. It's just the best of three. Best of three. First map went to OT1, second map went to OT2, third map went to OT6, and I was just sat there crying at the desk as a solo commentator with the guy who runs UKCS sat behind me laughing his head off for the entirety of it. Let's get ourselves back on camera for a minute because these guys aren't ready just yet. Oh, never mind. Why is it every time?
That's the curse.
Every single time I say they're not ready, they somehow become ready. Anyway, John's getting his money's worth out of us. They've gone to OT. This is the second game this week that you and I have covered that have gone to OT. Absolutely horrendous, mate. But yeah, both teams buy down from 16k, and they just go at it, essentially, until we get that lucky number, essentially. Obviously, we've seen Yar fight from the brink, essentially, after first half. What are you kind of expecting from them in this early stage of OT?
I think they're going to be a little bit hesitant because the only strats, or not the only strats, but the strats that just worked, in very quick succession were those rapid fire, quick push rounds that Cox threw at them. It's not going to be the case this time. And so I think that's put ER a little bit on edge because that would have been what I was expecting. So I can imagine that would have been what ER was expecting. It is going to be a slower round though. And it's just very important for ER to, hold their nerve right now and not push into these lurk players. Nova, he's going to commit a bit too far up those stairs, and that's going to put, ER on the back foot now as Cox starts to execute this A site setup. I don't know if they're going to commit to this actually because they don't have anyone in position to, push behind it. It does seem like a fake to pull the rotations away from ER. I don't think it really worked to great effect, but no. I mean, with 4 players up, how much can you actually rotate?
Exactly.
He's going to be put to the test, and he only takes 1 out. That's unfortunate, and that's going to give the B site to Cox. Bit of a missed smoke, but doesn't matter because they have the B site. And it's a 3 versus 3 retake situation, and well, everyone has the bells and whistles that they could possibly want. Starting from that 16k, we're going to fight our way down until there's only one team remaining. It is going to be ER pushing from the secret side. They are grouped up, and that's good for the trades, but it can also funnel yourself into these players. AVK, he's going to adjust to the first, almost trades to the second, but Laugh, he can convert frag, and whether he spots the player at the back site, there we go, that's a critical frag, and that's it. They've won. I didn't even know that happened. It was a blink of an eye, and ER pick up the first round of overtime. Now, of course, these overtimes are only 6 rounds apiece, 3 rounds in each half, so winning a majority on both sides is kind of what you need to win. 19 is the magic number, so ER winning the first round is definitely a good spot to be in, especially with both these teams being a bit weaker on the T side.
Yeah, I want to run it back a little bit to the start of that round. I think you're right with Nova as well. He's just a little bit too aggressive on Staircase. He's shown his hand a little bit too quickly, and he does get punished for it. So I'm hoping that we see into this second round of OT that he maybe cycles that little bit of aggression back a little bit and holds back a little bit more, essentially, as far as showing his hand too soon.
Yeah, a bit of restraint.
Restraint is definitely the word I'm trying to think of on the top of my mind, but I couldn't. But yes, restraint is definitely what we need to see from Yar. we saw the crunch rounds when they were pushing into middle earlier on, and kind of swinging into players like that. That's all well and good, but yeah, I feel like in this OT you really have to be kind of like overcautious essentially, and kind of watch what Nox do and react to their reaction.
Well, so far we are in decent stead. It does seem like Kox are going to put some pressure on this day site. Again, I'm not sure if they're going to commit to this, but Alex, he swings out for an off-angle kill. He's not going to be able to convert, and in fact, the rotations need to come through. Tree can get an answer-back frag, but with Heaven being mollied out, they're, essentially locked out of this A site for the time being. Haiku, however, well, I don't know when Tree got that kill, but he gets a kill before he drops to Haiku. It is a 2 versus 2, but all the info has been given away. And Kox, they can definitely position themselves accordingly. As to whether ER remain in this 2 mini push, it's up to them. Of course, we can see that they are, but it's all going to fall to this. Nova, I'm not sure why he turned around in that fashion, but, well, maybe he knows something that we didn't, and that's going to be the first round dropped by ER in overtime. 1 apiece so far.
Apologies, everyone, for the random Windows noises. My external hard drive decided to go, I don't want to play anymore, and just turned itself off and on constantly. So I've just unplugged it, so you won't hear the noise. I'll deal with that after. But yeah, Nox have been playing quite strange into that A site. They're popping, popping mollies, popping flash, using a ton of utility, making it look like another push out into it, and Yara then, pushing their utility back into it to try and stop or stifle any pushes when they just aren't materializing. Good tactic to use, but Noah's going to be the first man to spot one out. You get the first, but he's not going to get the second.
That's unfortunate. I mean, You definitely don't want to be caught off guard there, and the fact that he gets spotted out and they're so close for the trades means that he doesn't even have time to pull out a molly or a smoke to hold off the push, and that just gives them the B site. AVK with an insane reaction, 180 flicking to the head of Laugh, and well, Alex can answer back, but a double up retake definitely wasn't advisable. It's not going to be the case anymore. It is a 2 versus 3 setup in this case, but they are both attacking from the ramp area, and well, Kox seem to have the information, so they can definitely position themselves accordingly. There's a trade coming through. It is just Alex, but he gets caught off guard, and well, that's 2 rounds going away from ER. Yep,
indeed it is. And we'll head into the second half of the first OT. So 17-16 is your scoreline still. We're just waiting for the teams to ready up. I'd imagine it's going to be a very quick ready up moment because, I mean, it usually is with OT, in fairness. It's not like end of first half, end of second half, where teams kind of take a couple of seconds to breathe. They're all ready to go. They just want to get this over and done with. From Yar then, I mean, we saw them play quite well in that first opening round from CT. T-side perspective, I mean, be super aggressive, or would you kind of draw Nox's aggression out like they did in the second half?
I don't know, to be honest. This has been a very, back and forth game, and ER had the strong start when they were doing those kind of gimmicky plays, but past that, they didn't really have much success on their T-side, so I guess I want to see them try and push somewhere together, try and pull out one of those gimmicky plays that we saw in the first half and maybe, get away with a bit more than they perhaps should. But I don't know. I'm not necessarily, too confident behind this scoreline right now because, as we saw, Kox, they didn't have the strongest T side, and the fact that they win 2 in overtime, well, it's a worrying prospect for ER.
Yeah, it really is. It definitely is. I think we are going to see somewhat of an aggressive push, however, down to a secret. Molotov and smokes are in place to give them a bit of cover to make their way down the staircase, which they'll do more or less unopposed. Nova should be able to give the audio cue to say that someone's dropped down. He will fall himself, however, but it's a trade elsewhere at least.
That's a nice adjustment from Tree, although Morozon, he picks up 3, and that's completely taken the wind out of that push. It is the lurker Alex who's come into play finally, but it might be too little too late because he doesn't have the bomb. He picks up an AWP, which isn't advisable in a 1 versus 2. There we go, trades back. Perhaps, trying to get that initial frag, but He has a little bit of utility to work with. It's just whether he gets caught off with it. Asus and Ativ will be the two players he's fighting up against. He spots the... Okay, well, he doesn't quite spot the first. He pushes into the view of the first player and gets taken out. That is Cox starting off very strong, and that is only one more round that the CT side need to win to close out this game. They needed to win all 3 rounds to be able to pull the map away with a win. Now they're just fighting for another overtime, so hopefully they can win these 2 remaining rounds. However, whether they can do it is yet to be seen.
Yeah, it kind of felt like they both just stared at each other with that Molly for a couple of seconds, then realised, wait a minute, you're not my teammate and I'm not yours. So, awkward positioning for Yar. Awkward position from Debin at least anyway. Obviously, they've got all the money to work with in the sense of trying to recover off the back of that round, but it's about making good use of the space that Nox are awarding them. This outside push, by the way, second round in a row from Yar coming into effect, and they've been allowed all that space to manoeuvre with it, but AVK's in a good position. There's no info called out, and he'll take on 2 for his troubles. He'll swing for a third, but not able to get it, and when I win a 3v3 bomb plant should go in favour of Yar. They'll be able to get some good post-plant positioning from it, but you can already see that Nox are kind of queuing things up ready to try and stop the onslaught of Yar.
They are indeed setting up the smokes and flashes. That is a retake smoke in heaven there that you can see. It makes things a little bit challenging and it buys them space to push out. However, Zyrex, he's set up for it perfectly. It's a double AWP retake, and that's one of them falling. Did see the other one getting tagged down a bit low, but Tree gets caught out, and that's Asus closing that round. Oh, sorry, not round, that frag. The time is ticking down, and it does seem like ER should pull this one out with a win. Cox are just getting away with their tails between their legs, conceding that round, and they buy themselves one more round away from getting another overtime. They, of course, can't win, but they're fighting to stay alive, and we're happy to watch them do it.
Yeah, indeed. That little bit of extra breathing room for them now, and who knows? I mean, they did again, there's 2 rounds in a row that we've seen the Ark kind of push outside. They went down staircase previous into secret. That kind of worked where they were able to get themselves into sight, but they just stifled with it. But it seemed to work quite effective when they pushed into A itself there. So whether or not we see something like that maybe coming back, the lobby crunch hasn't happened, so they've got a lot more room to manoeuvre. As I'm speaking, Alex will just dominate Asus there.
That's a nice opener, and that's a much needed opener that they haven't had for a while, it feels like.
It just gives them options, doesn't it? I mean, they now have more room to maneuver outside. Yeah. They're going to force the hand of Nox to really be covering, potentially 2 different positions.
Oh, that's a quick adjustment.
Yeah.
Well, Laugh going down there does mean that things are brought back to an even keel, and just as they gained ground outside, they've lost ground towards this ramp area. They don't really have the firepower to be able to contest that position, and that means that Cox can reposition, falling off the ramp area. They did have that double up that they're putting to great effect, and oh no, Nova and AVK right next to each other behind a wall. Active can even take him out, and that's the bomb control lost. That's it. Yeah. That should be the end of the game, although Tree, he's got something to say about it, because he can answer one back. How's it going to end up, Nick? Have to curse it first.
I mean, I'll tell you a secret in a second, but I don't think it's going to go the direction that we expect it to, or want it to, at least anyway.
Oh, this is so tense. Alex gets her dropping. Yeah, this is suddenly doable. As I say that.
Dead.
There you go.
Yeah, that's it.
Well,
8 seconds left on the clock, and that's it. Yeah. Unfortunate.
Oh, there we go.
It's like we knew. It's like we knew what each other were going to say. Also, cheers, Nova, once again. I want to time him out next time he comes up in chat. By the way, I just want to throw that out for John and the team. But yes, unfortunately, EsportsWales will fall at the final hurdle. Unfortunately, in that map, and they continue their losing streak. Unfortunately, any thoughts from you?
There's definitely a lot more glimmers of hope from that game. It wasn't as a convincing a loss. It's still a little bit, gut-wrenching, because we saw moments of brilliance in there, some actual good game plans, some nice strats coming through, definitely at the start, but it just ended up not working out in the end. These overtime games are, always a toss of the coin. And yeah, it's just not ER's day today, but a bit of a better performance, and they can definitely build off that in the future.
Yeah, definitely. Nonetheless, thank you very much for tuning in, of course, as always. If you are interested in getting involved in Esports Wales, their Twitter details and everything else are below. If you want to see what me and Jam are up to, our Twitter details are on screen. I'm at ReaperSteve1. Jam is at Jammer_CS. Follow us, get involved, all that kind of stuff, and hopefully we'll see you on a winning game on the next one. Thank you very much for joining us, Jammer.
Thank you for having me, Nick.
I don't know why I'm saying joining us, because we're both working at the same... You know what I mean. It's all the same thing. Have a good weekend.